Hey there, Philip McMaster. Welcome to Conscience Land, the Republic of Conscience. And in this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about what people are doing in the real world to fix the enormous problems that we have. Of course, we talk about the SDG token of appreciation, and this is what we pass out, we give for free. You just download from the airdrop on extinctionsolution.com. And also, I think you can do it through sdgchallenge.com. But the general idea is what we're trying to do is build a catalog around the world of people, places, and products that are clearly part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. And what we need to do is identify those people, or at least celebrate those people who are trying to create new ways. Some are doing it incrementally and some are doing it radically from the root. Radical means root. And I would say to you that this friend, I met her in Shanghai, Lu Min, and she is doing some amazing stuff in China, and particularly this project called CycSatellite, CycSatellite, satellite. So it's cyclical. It's like recycling, but it's actually cycling the fashion industry, manufacturing, or what they call upcycling, actually, industry, so that waste is eliminated, so that inventories on part of the companies, these fast fashion companies, is better managed. It's not wasted, basically. It's not a waste, a total waste, as you probably know. There's millions of tons of clothes that are literally burnt or put into landfill, never been worn, never used, simply because they're out of fashion, out of season, or whatever. They didn't sell well. So no, this is an enormous problem, and I don't know the statistics. Somebody can put it in the comments and help me out. Remember to comment on what we're doing here in Conscience Land. It's not my Conscience Land, it's your Conscience Land. We need to build Conscience Land with good people. The deniers, don't even bother. Just get the hell out of here, okay? If you're denying that we have trouble in the world, that we need to solve the 17 goals, don't even listen. Turn it off. Go and play with yourself. I'm only interested and will only respond to people who are constructively critical, or even better, constructive, period. They're just trying to make a new way to do things, like we just talked about Lu Min and her CycSatellite upcycling. So what I understand this to be is that, first of all, it's the creation of a rehabilitated workforce. Of course, there will be people still working in sewing the fashions, the original fashions for H&M and Zara and all these fast fashion people who are really part of the problem. Really part of the problem. The jeans industry polluting rivers around the world. All of this stuff. They're really part of the problem. Fashion is a big, big blight on the world. However, you're not going to change consumption behavior real quick. Okay, we're not all going to be wearing, this. I hope not. But this upcycled would be cool. So I understand the general idea to be is that there's an existing system of just-in-time manufacturing and inventory and distribution. There's an existing system. Of course, this is the system that we're using. Shopping malls, all the rest of it, seasonal fashion, and so on. But there's an enormous waste in it. And the enormous waste is why? Because people, the consumers, are unreliable. They're fickle. They don't, sometimes something's a big hit and sometimes it's not. So the manufacturers have to manufacture it anyway in order to put it on the shelves in order for it to be sold. And if it doesn't sell, it's waste. And of course, they turn the losses into, you pay for them basically as a consumer. But more importantly, it's waste, and it's energy waste, and it's landfill pollution, and it's in the processing of these garments to make new ones, it's killing the rivers and turning them blue. So, yeah, this upcycling is brilliant, because what she and her team are doing is retraining maybe the people who are not currently working in the fashion industry, or were working previously, or wish to do something different. And basically, if my understanding is correct, training them to upcycle fashion. So take an existing bunch of clothes and that have, whatever designs on them, or embroidery or whatever, and literally cut them up and mix and match and change them around. This is not old clothes. This is new clothes, but they're not selling, and they're not being created. So the idea, my understanding, is that what she's doing is she's expanding the creative base of the industry to be more and more people with design ideas. And they're taking existing materials and they're mixing and matching and upcycling. They're creating new from what was new but now is useless in its current form, and now they're changing the form of it, and now it's fashionable again, which has the potential to create an entirely sustainable or less unsustainable system to serve those who are interested in fashion. You can see I'm not. I never look fashionable, but there are many millions of people who are fashion conscious. Personally, I think they're mesmerized. I mean, I think that a lot of it is just propaganda. A lot of it is just making them feel bad about themselves, and the solution is go and buy these shoes or go and buy this clothes, and you'll feel good about yourself, which only lasts 15 minutes anyway. So I think my own opinion is that a lot of fashion is bullshit. It's just manipulation of people's insecurities. That's my opinion. I could be totally wrong. Maybe I am. Fine. I still am looking for the answer to it. So let those people who are so insecure, let them feel better about themselves. Just don't create the damn thing new, and then if it doesn't sell, throw it into the garbage. Don't do that, because we can't afford to do that anymore. So in order to serve that insecurity of that individual who depends on fashion for their identity, create something new that is so unique and so interesting and so locally made, because I think that's the nature of this CycSatellite, right? These are satellite atelier, they're satellite production things, probably like cottage industry primarily, and these entrepreneurs, I call them planetpreneurs, right? Because they're entrepreneurial in the sense that they're taking on a job of creating something, and the resource they're using is an already manufactured resource, but they're chopping up, mixing and matching, and sewing together something new. So I think that's very entrepreneurial myself. So we give them the name planetpreneurs because that's what Conscience Land needs. We need entrepreneurs who have in mind and in their conscience the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and how to make that better. So yeah, I think this is brilliant. This CycSatellite upcycling of fashion, because I have been peripherally involved, just not myself but my friends, in fashion stuff, I'll boast for a moment. I was in Esquire magazine. I've been in a fashion magazine myself with my beard. Maybe I'll find a picture of it and try to put it into this video, or maybe you can look it up if you're interested. Anyway, yeah, so I mean, I'm not fashionable myself, but I understand that there's a fashion industry, and it's a big one. It's a big industry, and it employs a lot of people. But I'm concerned about it because basically it's very pyramidal, and it's very, very top-down command, and it's very much dictated by what the people in Paris say is going to be the color and the pattern and the color scheme and so on, and the cut, whatever, the hemline next year or in the next fashion cycle. I mean, it's completely a propagandized, controlled business. However, it sounds like CycSatellite has the chance that it will become decentralized, and that there will be this, emergence of local communities who are, well, becoming known for their creativity and their use of existing materials, all brand new materials, maybe not all, but mostly brand new materials, perfectly clean, safe, hygienic, and so on, but that they have maybe a local flavor. They look like they come from Yunnan province, or they look like they come from Thailand, or they look like they come from somewhere in Indonesia, or they look like they come from Australia, or they look like they come from Canada, or they look like they come from Switzerland. Whatever it is, I think that's the potential is great for that kind of new approach to the industry. Now, is it good for the big companies, the big multinationals? Well, I'm not a big fan of multinationals, as is anyone who knows me personally, and I think I've said it innumerable times on the videos. No, I'm not. I think they're killing the world, and I think that they're exploiting the world very, very. It's the 0.01%. The people who own these companies are a very, very small number of people in the world, and they dictate what the rest of the world wears, literally, in fashion and the rest of it. So, and they manufacture it not in their own communities. They usually manufacture it in, very, very, in sweatshops, in areas of the world where people are willing to work for very little money and pretty bad conditions, sometimes terrible conditions, in order to support their families. But they have no say, and they have no creative input. They're slaves. They're just indentured slaves. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of, Zara or H&M or any of these big. They're the only two names I really know. But of these big fashion houses, no, I'm not a fan of them at all. But am I understanding that fashion is something important to people? Yeah, it is. I understand that. So, and especially I'm interested in localization, bringing the attention back to the community's competence to express its culture, express its craftsmanship, express its ability to make money. in the bigger scheme of things, in order to get other things that they need, and I think that this effort of CycSatellite is a really good one, because I think it starts to get that supply chain management. Is it beneficial to the big companies? Absolutely, because now they're more SDG friendly. They're more able to say, and in truth, that their products are not going into landfill because they weren't consumed. This will be fantastic. This is very good for them. It's a money saver. It's all it's all good for them. But what I really care about are the communities. I care about those workers. I care about their conditions of work, their access to their families, their ability to spend time with the people they care about. That's what we should be focusing on. That's decent work. And, in Conscience Land, if we combine plotting those 3x3 areas, which we're taking stewardship and responsibility for, we combine this with CycSatellite. We combine this with people creating in their own communities and getting higher and higher recognition for not only the sustainable nature of what they're doing, but also for the creativity that they're expressing. And they're bringing attention to that community for, that particular style of upcycled clothing, and people start to demand it. Now, actually, I don't really want international demand, because that just feeds the super wealthy, because that means international transport, and that's how the rich make money.